Peace, everyone. This is the Yananomics Podcast. I am your host, Empress Ayana. Today, we're going to be talking about the topic of exploring the roots, doulas, childbirth, and living holistically. Today, our guests are Sahra Deer of Kofa, a natural skincare line, as well as Cynthia Hayes, who is a full spectrum doula with Earth's Natural Touch, Birth Care and Beyond. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Yes, peace. I'm really excited to get into this conversation with you all today. So we're going to start with Sahra. And I would like for you to tell me a little bit about your line and tell everyone a little bit about your line, Kofa, what it means and why you started it and what your products are.
So Kofa was developed about, I want to say 6 years ago, officially on the books. Our theory is if you can't eat it, you probably shouldn't put it on your skin. So everything in our line is made from organic, fair trade, local, but best of all, food grade ingredients. Sankofa is a Ghanaian word that means to look into your past in order to have a prosperous future. And I'm originally from Jamaica, so my father's also a Rasta, and they don't believe in the you, the we, or the me. They believe in the I. So I decided to put them together and create Sankofa. So it's not mine, it's not yours, it's all of ours. And we all are able to tap into the past in order to have that prosperous future with the ingredients and my line.
Yes, that is so awesome. So what do you offer?
So we literally offer, like I like to joke, from the rooter to the tutor, except for makeup. So we have a hairline that I use. We have a skincare line, which we make organic toners, face mists, creams. We make organic soaps that we incorporate food that are local and sustainable. So for instance, we have an apple crisp soap that has apples from a local orchard. We make natural deodorants, body butters. We have Boo Boo Balm herbal vapor rub, which is...
What's a Boo Boo Balm?
So that is for minor cuts and bruises and different little abrasions that you may come across. Herbal vapor rub is amazing because it's quite fascinating what our cosmetic line is allowed to incorporate in their products. So it's a natural form of what people may know as Vicks. We have a muscle and joint balm. We have a sun butter, which has a really nice full spectrum protection. We have a number of products.
And you even have products that are for animals as well, right?
Exactly.
Some natural products.
Yeah, so we have our possum balm, which is for the padding on your dog's feet, because it's surprising how much chemicals are even in the salt that we have, that we lay out when it snows. We have our Furtastic shampoo bar for dogs that is full of neem that can help with any ticks or fleas. Yeah.
I love it. I love so much about your line, and you have a beautiful studio. I haven't gotten a chance to get there myself, but I mean, in the pictures it's just so bright and so beautiful, and I just love watching your journey because we've been friends since high school, and so it's like, without giving too much, but it's been like almost 20 years.
Well, our children are 22.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
almost 24 years.
Oh, wow. So it's been a while. So, we both seen each other grow and, just do so much and really pursue our passions. So it's just so wonderful to see, you thriving and doing so well in your business. Like, it's just, we talk about it quite often. We get into it. We talk. We do all types of stuff. And so this is really special to be sharing this, time and moment with you. So thank you so much for being here. So I wanted to know, what makes your products unique? Like, you have a lot of wonderful products and they're natural, but there's a depth to that naturalness that I'd like you to touch on.
Well, I mean, I did a lot of research to come up with a lot of the formulas that I had. So, for instance, I believe that there are life-changing events that happen to all of us, right? And until we're uncomfortable, we don't make change, usually. And so the first one was my mother, my aunt, and two of my cousins came down with breast cancer. And so I did research and found out that, the baby boomer generation was one of the first to shave their armpits and apply a chemically laden deodorant on. And I did not want that for myself. And I also breastfed my children, so they're always touching you and having their hands in places they don't need to. And so I was like, oh my God, it's right next to our mammary glands, and they're going to be ingesting this, then putting it into their mouth. The other one was my eldest son. I used store-bought diapers for him, and they didn't tell me at the time, the doctors or anyone, that the gel that was inside of the diapers can now get dislodged, and it was then lodged within his urethra and cause a lot of other issues. The final one was my second child had extreme eczema, and they gave her a bunch of different medication to try to control it. That wasn't working. It was actually making it worse. And so I did my research, and it was out of a passion that it was generated and created. What I like is that I not only take an organic route, I also take a local and sustainable route. So for instance, the wax that I have is from a gentleman who is not a mass producer. So he doesn't believe in smoking his bees, nor does he use sugar water to give them a fake sense of nourishment. The lady that I get my goat's milk from, she does not breed her goats for kid and to create milk. It's when they naturally procreate that and whatever is in excess that we that I have access to. So it takes it to another level of being conscious of not only ourselves but the animals in our universe.
Right, absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned, things related to breast cancer, things like that, because this episode will be airing during March, which is, Women's History Month. And so I think it's really important that women understand and know that you do have lots of options and that families have options. This is not just about women necessarily, but being that we are susceptible to things like cancer because of the deodorants, breast cancer, because of the deodorants and the very heavily chemically laden products that we use. It's important that we take these things seriously and that we read labels and that we know and can understand what is in our products. So, I really am excited to be empowering women through this podcast, through this information, and it's just really an exciting journey. It really is. And I've even seen you, your soaps look so good. Oh my God, they look so yummy. They're so beautiful. The way you make them, just everything. And even your branding looks really amazing and all of that. I just love it. You're doing an excellent job. I want you to keep on doing it. And so now I'd like to talk to Cynthia for a little bit. And so Cynthia, tell us a little bit about your background. As I said earlier, you are a full spectrum doula with Earth's Natural Touch, Birth Care and Beyond. And so tell us a little bit more about what you're bringing to the table today.
Okay, so I have actually been a postpartum doula for 16 years. So that was about 13 and a half years, 14 years before having additional training. So my additional training is that as a full spectrum doula, we're not just community doulas, although that is good and you can get training to do that, but we study lactation. We're there to support during birth. We also provide information to the mother prenatally throughout the birth experience. We're there laboring with her if some of us choose to do that, and postpartum as well. And so I needed to have more of a well-rounded education about being a doula because I love what I do. I'm also a certified lactation consultant on the path or trying to get on that path to be IBCLC, which is just a higher level, more clinically based. Trying to get more Black women breastfeeding. That's our goal. And also I am a maternal health and child care specialist. So I've taken a lot of different training, and what we want to do, what our goal is, to address these racial disparities concerning the death of Black women during childbirth and even up to a year after postpartum and trying to reduce the infant mortality rate here in Connecticut, which unfortunately has been on the rise.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad that you talked a little bit about the infant mortality rate. Do you have any statistics for us when it comes to how Black or African American communities compare to other groups?
Yeah, what's so interesting is I started out this work primarily with women that could afford my services, and so that was mostly white women. I think I had like maybe 2 or 3 Black families throughout my career, and even then I had noticed that white women were being rich, very wealthy white women were being traumatized during birth, and they weren't having satisfying birthing experiences, and they weren't faring very well. So that's when I started figuring out, well, wait a minute, what's happening to Black women? And what was the most shocking, just to get right to it, what was the most shocking is most times when you bring up the maternal morbidity rate concerning Black women, most people think, oh, it has to be women that don't have access. It has to be because they're not receiving proper prenatal care. They're not taking care of themselves. It's a lifestyle. No. There is a greater chance for a Black woman with a PhD to die during childbirth than a white woman who hasn't even graduated from high school. These are facts. So they are 3 to 12 times, depending on where you live. New York, it's a lot higher. I think now it's on the rise. It's about 12 times more likely to die while giving birth. Doesn't matter how much money you earn, what degrees you've earned, or anything like that. And a Black child is twice as likely to die or have low birth rate. And I think that the numbers are even higher than white babies. And so using a doula can help combat that for various ways. Well, first of all, it's like, why? Why is this happening then? You know, we're saying it's happening. Most of it is racism. Okay, so, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but
take your time, girl. No, take your time, girl. No, this is what we're here for, you know, and I really want us to really delve into this because I feel like the people who are watching it deserve to get full information. Absolutely.
When I first started researching and just discovering, you know, the trouble that our sisters were in, it was so hard for me to just wrap my head around, though I think of myself as woke, quote, woke and conscious, that racism was literally killing our people. There's, and it's in several different ways. First of all of the different experiences that Black women and Black people have, even outside of being pregnant. And I think that the fact that there's even a wider gap for women that are more educated than more likely to die than their white counterparts is because of where they are and what they've achieved, and now you have to fight tooth and nail to stay there, right? And so and I can guess everything that's going on with a lot of the Black families, but then you have some that are on the lower end of the socioeconomic scale that have other things to be concerned about as well. I mean, sometimes, and we learned this in the more recent training that we had, sometimes being pregnant is not the first and foremost thing that you're going to talk about when you're meeting with a Black family. It could be, you know, food insecurities, right? It could be, let's not even talk about, you know, mass incarceration. There may be, you know, maybe another child has been incarcerated, or a cousin or someone that's close by, close to you in your family.
Excuse me, are you saying that's how sometimes the conversation about doula and all these different things kind of come to pass, is through these conversations just related to Black identity and like how we go through life in general?
Absolutely.
That's really interesting.
Absolutely. And we need to have more of those conversations in Black communities. Even, you know, some Black families that will hire a doula, they still quite don't have enough information to understand how it works. So, and how it can work is the doula will often be like in the hospital setting with some of the medical providers as like a buffer to implicit bias, right?
Yes.
And also, even prior to that, giving them information. Black women don't know, I don't care how much money they earn, and I've known quite a few, they still don't know that they do have some options, that they have choices, that, you know, medicine is a business, and that just because there is a hospital policy, it's not law,
right?
You know, and we're also overrepresented in, you know, DCF cases, right? And so there's often, you know, for some of the choices that we make, some of the women feel bullied and are told, well, you know, the social worker will come and see you before you even leave the hospital, right? And so it's all of these types of things, and other things that we call and refer to as weathering, right? Just generationally, how we've been exposed to racism and how it's just handed down from generation to generation, and it's how can you thrive,
right?
I mean, we do have women that are surviving, but some of them barely, because even if they don't die during childbirth, even up to a year after childbirth, there is something like out of all of the births that we have, and I'm maybe out of, let's say, I can't even think of a percentage. I'm seeing the 50,000 to 80,000 women every year have what's called near misses, or they experience physical trauma and emotional trauma just based on giving birth, just because, right? And so, you know, with all of that, it's like, you know, there's some women, and it breaks my heart after they've gone through childbirth to say, well, you know, like, we made it, and now
that's so sad. And not like sad. It was such a beautiful experience. It's like none of that. It's like, I'm alive. My baby's alive.
Exactly.
It's sad. That's a really,
like, you know, we've made it, that type of thing. And so right now we're trying to, we have forums and different occasions where we're actually trying to get out into the community just to educate everyone, like, you can live and you can have a wonderful experience, and it's your experience. It's not like we are there, we're just simply there to empower the mother, right? By telling her that she has a choice, telling her that she doesn't have to consent to every medical intervention, and just by having a doula there, you do reduce medical interventions that can cause this whole cascade of other all these other medical interventions as well. We reduce C-sections, which was on the rise. We're reducing the use of Pitocin, right? So that, you know, you have more of a birth that's more spontaneous, you know,
and natural,
less time during labor, you know, and you feel like you're supported. You feel like someone is there, you know, rooting for you, empowering you. And we're not even there, although we are advocates, we're not there to turn around and tell the doctor, no, thank you, we will not be having any
you know,
or, you know, it's like, let me see if that baby is coming. It's not that. We are not medical. Just simply by using different techniques during labor to help reduce some of the pain, you know, and discomfort. We're there for the family. So we're because
you do massages. I mean, because like women need to know some of the specifics of what you all offer, so they can know, okay, I need me a doula, because I know I needs me a massage. Okay, when it's that time comes, you need that level of support. You all do, like, talk a little bit about the specifics of some of the other things that you all offer the moms directly.
And you know, sometimes it's not even that much of the physical outlays. I mean, yes, we're learning. I mean, not every doula gets the same kind of training, but I know the doulas that are coming up in Connecticut, the black doulas that are coming up in Connecticut.
Yes.
Oh yes, we're ready.
Yes.
So we do practice acupressure, and you know, so prenatally we try to tell mom and show mom different techniques that we use to help lessen the pain and make them feel more comfortable during childbirth. But sometimes just our presence and just, some of the tools, like, you use like a peanut, the different positions that are less traditional, not just sitting there laying on your back and
right?
Hoping that,
exactly,
against gravity,
right?
not,
exactly. And we just try to tell them, and sometimes it's heartbreaking because you try to just give information to let mom know, well, listen, based on my experience and based on what your doctor is telling you, you may not be on the path to have an unmedicated birth.
Right.
And some of that, you know how we are. We're very, we're kind of stubborn. We're like, this is, you just don't think that you're gonna get God.
Yes.
That's really what it is. It's like, no, I don't need all of that. I'm good. And it's like, well, why do you have a doula? So it's like, we want to be used. We want to provide the information,
right?
And we want to help you get through this, like, and enjoy your birthing experience,
right?
And knowing that you can be empowered to do so.
Can I ask a question? Sorry. Do you find that with your presence there, that the doctors feel a second level of accountability, so they're not pushing certain things because you're there to kind of be witness?
Are they working together?
No, to be witness, to not push certain things.
Oh,
that
I
if
see.
you were by yourself and vulnerable, that you were a second level also of accountability.
Well,
to them.
The doctor isn't really there until birth is inevitable. Very, very seldom. So sometimes, unless you're going to prenatal visits with mom, you're not meeting the doctor. I wish that it were that simple. Sometimes the doctor may or may not even acknowledge you. Sometimes the nurses may or may not acknowledge you, in the room. And there are times, especially if they're talking to mom about a medical intervention, and then you're trying to remind mom, oh, mom, remember we talked about this. Remember you said you wanted an unmedicated birth, so now, you have a choice, mom, and then, the nurse is like, oh, okay,
right,
in the way, because, and even taking some training, I began to realize that even some of the doctors, other medical providers, and the nurses, they're kind of caught up in the system too.
Yeah.
They're told what their job is. I mean, going to Yale, they have these beautiful, I come with my own birthing ball, but they have these beautiful birthing balls and all, we can get you the peanut. Everything is like all brand spanking new. They're not even being used.
Right.
And it's like you don't even hear babies being birthed. It's just, it's kind of like just a factory. It's like, no, this is the road that we're going to put you on. And so it's just trying to intervene, and we're just not faring very well during those processes.
Right.
That's what it's all about. So we would love to work, together better with some of the medical providers, but I think that they just don't understand what we do. And again, it is a business. It's going to cost, more money to have a C-section than it is to have an unmedicated natural birth.
Absolutely. And you touched on a lot of very important things and everything that you said. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on that you had mentioned was like how a doctor or even a nurse is connecting with the mother. And as you know, I'm expecting, and I went to the doctor a couple days ago. Actually, it was yesterday. I went to the doctor, and I already kind of did. This is my first time actually meeting the actual doctor. Before that, you see the nurse practitioner and stuff like that. I didn't like her because I felt like it wasn't anything wrong with the job she was doing, but there was a lack of connection that didn't exist. It just didn't exist. It was just her doing her job and going through the motions.
Right.
And then I met the doctor yesterday, and that further confirmed for me that I would not be going back to that practice any longer, because I'm telling him some of my concerns about things that he was suggesting and things like that. Well, he was like, well, that's my recommendation. He was very short with me. There was no connectivity. And this is how I see a lot of Black women will end up like I feel like I would be fighting for my life if he was my doctor. No, seriously, I feel like me and my baby, we would really be fighting for our lives.
Trust
and
that instinct.
Yes, exactly. And so, I started to do some research and where I could get a midwife that would take my insurance and things like that. I had to do, some researching and things. But to me, I have 4 children and I had them all in a hospital. And that experience, it really took the joy away from the childbirth experience, the way the nurses might talk to you or, whatever it may be. And then, I wanted to bring it around to what you were saying about what Black doulas are doing right now, because recently, was maybe a week ago or so, 2 weeks ago, that we got together for the testimony writing for Doulas for Connecticut, is it?
That's right.
So, I went to that because I really support doulas. I support the work of doulas being paid, and I wanted to make sure that I was at the table and, I could do what I can to make sure that women have access to that. And, I do feel like it is so important because I had an experience where I was supporting someone who was a friend of mine at the time, and it was very traumatic for me. It was so traumatic, y'all. Yeah. To watch her suffer in the way that they were treating her. Yeah. And I was just so happy that I was there because, I was her advocate because nobody else was there. Right. Dad wasn't there, nobody else was there. It was just me. And, I was like helping her through the process, speaking on her behalf and, things like that. And, just talking about what she wanted and, trying to keep that front and center. And I remember even at one point, the nurses were arguing over her bed while she was actually in the birth process. It was about who could get food and who couldn't get food and all of these things. This is right in Stanford. And it was so traumatic. Like, that's only a little small piece, of what the experience was. But, this work is so important. It is. And, so many more people need to be at the table to have this discussion because this is not just a discussion for mothers. This is not just a discussion for women. No. This is a discussion that and a table that even fathers and those who support these women should be at, and family members and everybody should be a part of this. If you love a woman and she's expecting, like, you need to be at the table. And so I wanted to know from you, I gotta get myself together, more from you about other ways that family members can support expecting mothers and be involved.
Yes. Yeah, well, we are fortunate in Connecticut that we do have allies. And we have allies that are willing to even educate us about changing policies and laws here in the state of Connecticut. I can shout out March of Dimes, Planned Parenthood, United Way, a program under United Way, Bridgeport Prospers. They have been so supportive to us in trying to bring doulas to any family that needs it here in Connecticut. So focusing on the families that can't afford it, what we are, and just got word, I don't have all of the details, but what we are trying to do is change the law so that Medicaid can reimburse doulas for providing those services to those families. Now, it could be anywhere between 50, believe it or not, in the state of Connecticut, 50 to 55% of the families that receive Medicaid. And I don't know if we had spoken about it when we were there at the testimony writing event that we had. But what we have learned is there are over 130,000 births in the state of Connecticut. This is just in Connecticut. Wow. And if you figure half of those are receiving Medicaid, even if it's like a little less than half, like let's say between 55 to 60,000. And let's say, okay, so out of all of those mothers, let's say, and families, really, let's say that we can try to service half of them. That is still like a significant thousands. We don't nearly even have enough doulas to be out there on the on the front line trying to help these families, but we're going to try. Yes. And so what we're doing is there is legislation that will be proposed, we found it will definitely be proposed this session that will define what a doula is, and eventually we're going to get to the reimbursement part. So we are very excited about that. And
that is exciting.
It's the Connecticut Coalition for Doulas, and you can find us, you can type any of those words in and find us on Facebook, and there is instruction on how to write a testimony. Right. They can write letters in support of sharing about their birth experience, sharing in just support of how important that it would be for Black women to be able to receive a doula if she needs one. Providing all of the education into the community. So it's really, really important. There's going to be, we found 2 days where there will be a hearing in March, probably somewhere between the first and second week of March, that we will actually be up at the legislative building. And you sign up. I'll try to get the dates. Maybe by the time this goes out, we'll have dates. We'll have specific dates within the next week. And let everybody know. You can just come up, and even if you don't write a letter beforehand, there is a way that you can go online and submit the letter. You can actually send it through someone. Someone else can read your testimony. You can go up, I think they start at 8 o'clock in the morning on the days of the hearing to sign up to actually testify. And we have really good bipartisan support as well. Because everybody wants one. Now we have to figure out how to do it. And it's politics, and I know everybody's like, ugh. But you know what? And you know me. I've always been a big proponent of, you have to change the policy. If you don't change the policy, then you don't have anything, to stand on, because at least we can say, no, this is what doulas do, this is how we do it, and this family deserves a doula, and we're going to be there for the family.
Absolutely. And that's like so important, and I'm happy that you all are doing that work, and that that it's being made open for everybody to kind of be a part of that movement. And I love that. Absolutely. I think it's such a beautiful thing. And, to that point, I wanted to know, do you feel like what you all are trying to do is being positively, it's being taken in positively by legislature and, some of the politicians, and do you feel like that support is there?
Yes. And, we had to provide an education to the legislators as well. And shout out to Senator Marilyn Moore. She's been a big proponent, and she has been very instrumental in getting the word out. And now she really gets it. I mean, she tells us in her own words, she just regurgitates everything, and she's able to go up there in Hartford, and she's talking the talk, and she's walking the walk, and she's making sure that everyone knows about it. And it's just that I think that there's a misconception as to what we do. Some people think we're midwives, and some people think,
there's a lot of ignorance around what a doula is and the difference between a doula and a midwife. Exactly. And we're just there, to, if mom, whatever mom wants to do. I mean, during labor, we're there with her. Sayana we were talking the other day, and she's like, if she's bending down, I'm bending down with her. If she's walking the hallways, I'm walking with her. And, there's different ways, and it depends on the rapport that you have with the family, and you want to honor what it is that they want during that time. But it's so good to allow them to reflect on what they need. I don't think that Black women period, but Black women do not get that opportunity to say, you know what,
this is what I want. And it may seem like it's impossible, but we gonna try.
Right.
And they want somebody to say, if that's what you want, sis, I'm here for you, and we're gonna make sure that happens.
Absolutely. Now, you had spoken of Marilyn Moore. Now, what district does she represent?
Well, she's out of Bridgeport and Trumbull. I can't remember exactly the number, although I should. It's like the 130 something. But she has been, goodness, I think she's been just a few years. I can't even recall. Maybe for the last 3 years. But she tried introducing the bill last year, and it really wasn't quite going the way that we needed it to go. So we kind of like held back, and we said, let's wait, because we want it done right. Because there's so many other states. I think there's only like 3 states that have actually ratified a law concerning reimbursement for doulas through Medicaid,
Right.
and it's tricky, but we have these allies. Let me tell you something. We can call on them. They send us emails. They're like, "Can you get on the phone with us? Because we have some questions."
Right.
They get on the phone with us. They they bring us dinner when we're sitting there for the testimony writing workshop that we have. I mean, everything that we need. They're always. I mean, we are very fortunate that we have that. I can't even.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Sayana. Like, we're familiar with Sayana.
Yes.
Sahra doesn't know who Sayana is. So tell us a little bit about Sayana, because she definitely deserves, to honorable mention in this podcast.
Yes.
I love the work she's doing.
Absolutely. And she has created Earth's Natural Touch, Birth Care, and Beyond. And what we have is a 14-month program that we go through. And it's actually a sisterhood, Dada Zuri Sisterhood. And we come together, and we're not just learning about how to, the skills that are necessary in order to be a great doula, but it's like life skills. So, I mean, we're together, and we really have been able to form a very cohesive bond, and we're a very diverse group. Like, it's Black women, but I mean, we have PhD candidates, we have professors, we have nurses, we have social workers, we have all different types, we have students, we have all different types of Black women, but our main goal is that we want to focus on the Black family, and we want to provide these services for them. And so a few of them have been able to because I think it started in 2016, and so there are some that have had some births that they have attended, but most of them have been through volunteer, and who could afford to do that? So they have another job, right, to support them and their families while they do this work. So they're totally dedicated.
Right. So even if they're passionate about it, it's like they still can't let that be their first line of income or anything source of income, because I mean, it's just not paying right now, and given the target audience or the target demographic for the work, some of us are struggling, when it comes to being able to afford certain types of services and things like that. So, big up to the doulas who definitely are out there volunteering you, and, so many other women who are out there doing it, and those who are actually going through the classes now. Because let me tell you, like, Sayana Bay's classes are extensive. Like, they're so thorough. They're better than, from what I heard, word on the street is that they're more thorough than even some of the certifying bodies that people that certify doulas. And I think that is absolutely amazing. And I've gotten to experience the sisterhood with my own 2 eyes, my own body, my own self. And so I know that it's real. And I've even facilitated some workshops for Sayana related to childhood sexual trauma and how that affects you, how a woman engages in the childbirth, process and things like that. So I'm happy that you brought a lot of that stuff up, because so if a woman is interested in becoming a doula or securing a doula, where would they go?
To Earth's Natural Touch, Birth Care, and Beyond. I'm trying to think if we are the only Black collective that's here in the state. And I mean, she even we even reach beyond that to there's some people that come from Rhode Island, from Massachusetts, even Philadelphia, and we have people who are signing up right now. And so she tries to get people on board like about once a year, so that they can go through the training, and then there's graduation in June. And I should also add too that we are, since there are no real well, when I say real, there are no laws right now regarding certification or licensing or anything like that. So some of the other bigger, well-known doula agencies and collectives and such, we have the same certifying rights, and now it's going to be, in law. I mean, it's like if we have to name the certifying body, it can be Earth's Natural Touch,
right?
Or or some of the others, because we want to make sure that, and the whole purpose of us going through this is making sure that we keep the integrity of what we're doing, and we don't want anybody to be left. So even those who don't sign on to help families who are receiving Medicaid, we still, they're still going to practice. But this is the first time, well, in Connecticut, that we will actually be certified as doulas. So, right now, I mean, now it looks like, even though we have some of the other organizations that have really, I guess, deemed doulas as a whole profession, but there still wasn't any certification or licensing. I mean, they give you a certificate, and it's like, but I got my certificate too, as well as others. So
need an official body though.
Exactly.
For that.
Yep. So yes,
I would love and that's so exciting, because I would love to see Earth's Natural Touch be at the forefront of a lot of what's happening and what's going on, because then we even more get to own and the messaging. We get to own decide what this thing looks like.
That's right.
In alignment with what our women need.
That's right.
And so I think it's just such a beautiful thing. Now,
it's exciting.
I really appreciate you sharing so much information on that. I'm gonna switch, not switch, but I'm gonna take this conversation a little bit different direction, because recently I had a conversation that made me think about what other conversations need to be had around supporting women once the baby gets here.
Right.
And the conversation was about breastfeeding. And Sahra and I, we end up talking about it again based off of a conversation that I had. And then I thought about even my experiences around breastfeeding, because one time I had gone to a church some years ago, and basically they wanted me to leave the actual service, because I was breastfeeding my child at the time. They wanted me to leave the actual service to go into the bathroom to breastfeed my child. And I felt so offended by, the fact that they pointed me out and pulled me out to do that, because it's like, who eats in the bathroom? Nobody, you don't ever take your, it's the most unsanitary place to go, to eat, whatever it may be. And so, so it's that, and then it's what role do in general men play in when it comes to supporting women when they're out in the world and they want to breastfeed, they want to do what's natural, what comes naturally to their body, or whatever it may be. And so it really made me want to explore more the conversation about the role that men play in supporting women, and not only that, but how culture forms how we do or don't support women when it comes to these things.
Well, it was really hard for me. I started, my first child was at 17, and I had made a conscious decision at that point that I was going to breastfeed all my children. And at that time, my family berated me, my friends berated me, and it was even more so unacceptable for you to do it in public. And, I remember having an argument with some family members, and even in public, that my breasts are not a sexual thing.
Right.
It is a means to feed my child. And so if you have that mind to look at it as such, that's your problem, not mine. And so, you know, I think about the role that my significant other played with my last two nursing experiences, and how to make that equality a little bit more, you know, because
make it a little bit easier, that buffer for you.
Right. And you know, I have to say he did struggle with it, and I wish there was some community around that for them to have that support, because I don't think that they do. And he felt that he needed, you know, a lot of times I feel like guys feel like they need to be the macho person and come to your defense in that way, physically, versus having the, you know, the repertoire to, you know what I mean, either ignore that and focus on you to support your, you know, what's happening, and you know, like you said, the buffering. But there really, sadly enough, isn't, you know, and enough education around that this is, the breast is the best.
Yeah, the breast is the best. And, you know, I want to encourage more women to breastfeed, because my daughter, I breastfed her for 1.5 years. And it was interesting because when I had her, she was like not really latching on at first and things like that. And, you know, she's just fussy, and she's like, she's, you know, feeling whatever she's feeling as a newborn. And I was being encouraged by my family to just give her a bottle, just give her a bottle, just give her a bottle. And I felt hell-bent on, like, no, I'm not going to just give her a bottle. If she's hungry enough, she's going to figure this out. Right. And that's what I did. And she eventually figured it out. And she happened to be the child that I breastfed the longest. Because my boys, I had no issue with getting them to latch on or anything like that. They started biting me, like, once they got some teeth. So that ended that real quick. But she was a really good nurser. And I'm so happy even at that age, because I was young. Like, I was still impressionable at that point, you know. And so, you know, I was happy that I stuck with it. And, you know, I really want to encourage so many other women to do that same thing, especially Black women, because I feel like we give that baby a bottle too quickly. And that, you know, we really need to be mindful that a lot of the formulas that are out there today have a lot of things in them that you would not necessarily just give your child, but because we're not educated in a lot of ways about these things, and we're not conditioned to read labels or whatever it may be, you know, we might be more apt, like I said, to put a bottle in a baby's mouth sooner than maybe like a white woman or whatever it may be, people from other, or even people from other cultural backgrounds, because even if you're coming from, you know, another country where it's so normalized, like, you know, here in America, I think that, you know, is a very stigmatized type of a thing, and I think that's really sad.
And that's the key. The key is that it's not been normalized. I was on a phone call last night with another podcast, and we were talking about Black doulas and the work we do postpartum. And so 2 things I'll say about that. We are fortunate again in the state of Connecticut Department of Public Health last year for a whole week gave us a course. It was a tough one in order to be, and the goal was to make sure that we had more certified lactation counselors that are out there educating the public. So we're just getting on again. Connecticut is trying to get on board with doing that, and so there's a lot of different groups that are popping up from those that received a lot of the education from that grueling week. I mean, it was really tough, but it was free. The testing was free, and you
gotta take advantage of it when you can.
Yes, for the purpose of making sure that Black women become more educated. But it's about the benefits of breastfeeding. And so if we form more groups, and if people aren't, and just like you did, I did the same thing. I mean, 29 years ago, my mother looked at me like I was crazy. She was like, how could she possibly be getting enough from your breast.
Right.
I can't believe it. And then it was like, and then even still, it's like 2 days after my daughter got from the hospital, it's like you have to bring them to a pediatrician, make sure that you weigh them. Yeah. And they were like, oh my goodness, she's already, and so there was no problem, but you need that support.
Yes.
And it needs to be something that is regularly seen. When I first became a doula, I remember the IBCLC that was there, and she said, what do we think is the worst problem or one of the top 2 problems that, maybe someone over in Ghana is having with breastfeeding? And so people were naming things. She's like, nope. She went on and on. I said, they don't have any? She goes, that's it. Because it's normalized, and that's the whole thing.
Right.
It's going to take, even getting doulas out there in the community, and even getting more groups and normalizing breastfeeding, there's still going to be, like a little lag time, because you have some, of the older professionals that are, maybe in their late 30s that are starting to have babies just now. Like
yes.
their first babies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But all of this other stuff is already ingrained, and it's so hard to undo. So what we need to do is, even bring education to women in high school.
Yes.
And everyone, to make sure that they realize that just what you said, it's like my breasts are to feed the baby.
Yes.
And that America is the only, or North America,
yes, North America
is one of the only societies that
that's right,
basically push you to stop nursing your children before they're 2.
Right.
Every other society, allows their child to nurse until over the age of 2, which is what I did with all of my children. And that, they don't have those same social pressures. And that, another thing with that is that breast milk gives your child a certain amount of immunities that you would not be able to give them through a formula.
Right.
And so it's something that is really important for women to also take in, the health benefits of nursing, only the problems that come with bottle feeding, and not that there's any judgment in either one that you choose, but weighing the pros and the cons and the benefits for your child is something that I think is important to talk about, because I feel like too, like a lot of women feel victimized too from bottle feeding. It's all a personal choice of what you choose to do and what's right for you and your family, but then weighing out the pros and the cons of what is most beneficial for your child.
That's right. And having the options. And there are some hospitals now. Remember, when you were having a baby, they sent you home with formula, coupons for the formula, bottles, and take away your baby and give them bottles. But now there's some hospitals that aren't doing that at all. Maybe not enough. So it's like, okay, we're going to get you, we're going to get that baby latched, and there's so many benefits from that. And the skin to skin.
That's the one thing I can say that the hospital did assist me with, is getting the baby on and learning, like teaching me what the proper latch felt like and things like that. So I did appreciate at least the lactation consultant. I did appreciate her. And everything. But did you either of you hear about the story of the police officer? It was in another country, but it was if I'm not mistaken, it was in another country, but it was a police officer. Woman police officer. They brought a baby into the police department or whatever that she was working at. She sat down and breastfed that baby. The baby was crying. They was talking about how the baby smelled and all these different things. She sat down and fed that baby, and they actually rewarded her for it. Like gave her, I think she even got some level up on her, what do you call it, like her position and all types of stuff, like so much recognition. And I thought that was so beautiful that they were like so happy that she did such a thing, and I find that to be like so selfless, in and of itself, to breastfeed somebody else's child. I think that's a very amazing thing. Okay, so we're going to this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm so excited to even be having this conversation and for it to be so passionate and for it to be so informative on top of that. And so I'm really excited because Sahra's gonna do a little something for us with a tutorial on how to do cloth diapering. So we're gonna get into that segment next.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Yes. So everyone, Sarah Deer has been nice enough to agree to do a tutorial on cloth diapering. And I would love for you to explain a little bit about why cloth diapering versus traditional diapering can be healthier and what some of the benefits of it is.
So they say the average person goes, or the average lifespan of a child, they go through about 7,000 different diapers throughout their lifespan. With that being said, it takes 500 years for that one diaper to biodegrade.
Wow.
So by the time we are all gone from this earth, your child's diaper will still be here.
Wow.
Which is kind of scary for me.
That is scary.
I had found also that with the gel along with the material that they were using on the outside, it had promoted way more diaper rash. It had also, because of the concealment and what they're using, it locked it in. So your child was more susceptible to diaper rash and other infections. What I had also noticed is that a lot of times they didn't let us know that the gel that was inside that diaper could become dislodged and enlarged in your child's urethra or other, areas.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, I found that I loved it. It didn't add on any more time or any more inconvenience for me. I washed the diapers along with all the rest of their clothes. And it was way more economically affordable for myself.
Right. And then bleaching, too, of some of these diapers as well. A lot of them have bleach in them with
Absolutely.
traditional diapers and other things in them that are not natural and really are irritants to the baby's skin versus really helping the child.
Well, even the wipes. If you look at the material that are on the wipes, a lot of them have other things in them like formica and different things that can, scratch your baby. I forgot when it was. A few years ago, there was a lawsuit that came out with actual glass shards that were found in a container of wipes.
And mica is your baby, right? Because you said mica. So
Mica.
For mica.
For mica, the actual material.
Because your baby's name is like, so I was confused for a second. I thought you were saying like for your son.
No, no, for the
actual thing
yeah.
for mica.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so it can also be an irritant to the genitals. So it's also really good, which is why I also cloth white my children as well.
Right.
So I'm going to show you a couple of the different kinds of diapers that they have out there. So usually most moms get a starter kit because it's just more economically sound and you get a little bit of everything.
A starter kit from where though?
So they have a bunch of different ones online. I prefer the ones that are on bleach. So I got I think it's called Uzo. Is the name of it. And we can put a link up of the ones that I use. And so it came with two different sizes. The little ones for newborns and infants, and then a bigger one for toddlers. And what I liked is that I ended up using the smaller ones if your child is a heavy wetter for an additional support inside of the diaper. And so a quick and easy thing too is that I was always really intimidated by the traditional pins.
Yeah, they're scary.
They are.
Those things are huge.
They are. And it's like, putting that needle through
I know,
all of this
that looks so dangerous.
I felt that it was.
Right.
I was intimidated by it. So I moved on to these things called snappies. And it locks into the diaper, it doesn't move, and it makes things so much easier, and it simplifies the whole experience. So a couple different things is we're going to use our little baby here.
Real quick. How much do cloth diapers typically go for? Because a lot of people are going to be like, can I afford it? But I know ultimately in the long run, it is a lot cheaper to do the cloth diapering. But how much is it in the initial cost?
So it depends on how much of the Kool-Aid you want to drink.
Right.
So, I mean,
because you can mix it up.
You can. So there are several different things. Like I said, in the starter kit, I want to say the starter kit is maybe about $180 to $200. I'm not sure.
Right. But a box of diapers is like what, $40 right now?
No, exactly. And so usually the starter kit comes with these little cute little diaper covers and a set of these diapers. So it usually comes with maybe like 20 of these. And, it comes with a good amount. I'm not positive because it's been about 8 years since I bought diapers. But what I love is that, it comes with all of this. These were not my preference to use because I still felt that it locked a lot of the moisture inside. So I moved along
this is like a polyester type of thing. It's kind of like plasticky sort of kind of feeling.
Yeah, and I me personally, I didn't like it. So I moved on to wool diaper covers, which are just like my favorite. And when you lanolize them, which is what the wool naturally makes anyways, and I concentrated mostly on the middle area.
When you do what to it? Lanolize them?
Yes. So lanolin is a natural wicking property, and women use it on their breasts in order to keep their moisture inside on their breasts, and it's something that lambs make naturally. And so you would put it on the inside of the diaper to actually create a water barrier. And so that is pretty much what I did. So you don't dry these, so you would just wash them like you would normally wash anything,
and then hang dry them, and you air dry them,
right? And before they're dry, you would just rub the lanolin on the inside and on the outside. I did, and it just soaked right in, and then it created a really nice water barrier.
And you can't really dry wool anyways,
no,
because
you cannot. You will end up with a
it's gonna fit your finger.
Exactly. So yeah, and then I brought along a couple different options too. So you can also use a snappy, which makes it really easy for you to just you know, if you're not into the pre-fold, you can just snap them in and cover your baby up.
So you use this in the place of using those there, because those are more.
They're a two-step process. Yeah. And if that seems intimidating, that can just make it that much easier. So what I'm gonna do is just take little Junior here, and so
look at this cover, y'all. Ain't that cute? That's so cute. It is so cute.
So what I did is that if you have a baby that seems to be explosive, I like to call it, you can fold the brim down so that way if anything comes up, it goes into here versus up the child's back. So to me, that made a great amount of sense. So I always like the bikini fold. That always just seemed better because my children were excessively heavy wetters, and it just created a nice little extra cushioning for it.
That's such an interesting term, like for a diaper, like to do a bikini fold.
So basically what you do is just take the ends and twist it, and then you just lock it into place, and it creates, as you can see, a nice little cushion right there. So then you put the diaper around like this, and like I said, the snappies make it so much easier.
All right, let's show them here.
Okay.
Where you at with it?
Snap it right here. You snap the bottom, and then you would fold the other end over and snap it on.
That's simple. That is really simple.
And then you just, at the end, you put the wool cover over it. And
you wouldn't grab the baby's head like that, like how I just did it. I'm trying to help her. You don't do that.
No,
that
don't. No shaking baby syndrome for us. And then, you just pull the cover up, and you're pretty much good to go.
I love these covers. Oh my goodness.
Yes, and they're really easy to find as well. Or what I found is that you can go to the Salvation Army and find a bunch of old ratty wool sweaters there, and these are just basically the arms or the cuffs of the sweater, and this is the body of them, and you can just sew them together if you feel you're artistic.
If we have any seamstresses that is interested in doing a workshop on how to make these, let's get together and make that happen, because that would be so awesome. Even to give as gifts, that's really amazing.
And they come in all different ranges and varieties. Like if people, I drank all the Kool-Aid, and so I got some of
those. I love that
really
one.
Cute, and
that's my favorite.
It's really nice for in the summertime too. And when baby starts to walk, it just makes it easier.
Right.
Like I said before, like these here, you have the little snappies in, and they just snap closed.
Now, are these expensive?
They can get expensive because, it's just like anything else. When you start to get into it, you get a little crazy.
I mean, it's worth it, because these are things, especially if you're a first-time mom or a second-time mom and you're thinking about having more children, these are things that you can save and pass down as well. So it's like, it's the gift that
keeps
never
on
stops.
Giving.
Yeah, seriously.
And then that's it. Is that I still have all the original starter kit from my child 8 years later. I still have them. Just in the thought that if I were to ever have another one, I still have.
Well, you can get these to me now. You know, right?
And they're in. I feel. pretty good condition.
Yeah,
that
they
they've
are in
been
good condition.
Used for 2.5 years straight.
Yeah, that is good.
8 years ago.
No, seriously, that is excellent.
So yeah.
And so you have a spray here. So we're going to be sharing your formula for a baby bottom wash, kind of a spray thing that's natural. So you don't have to use wipes and things like that. So you're going to show them an alternative to that. Now, the recipe I will put up on, I'll probably put in the group, the Yananomics Podcast group, along with, or maybe like underneath the actual link to to this episode. Absolutely. I think that's what I'll do.
Yeah. So what I did is that this is just it couldn't get any simpler. So again, online you can get these cloth wipes, and what I love about them is that they're multi-purpose. So, and they last just as long as the diapers did. So I still have some from when my baby was a newborn that he uses now, because they don't always wipe themselves the best.
Right.
And I still this is my spray bottle. I still have it accessible in my house for us. So it's really simple. You just take your cloth wipe and you just spritz it, and then wipe the bottom, and actually use way less, because 1 or 2 wipes cleans your baby completely. And what is within this is just a cream cleanser, and I prefer to use a cream one because you don't want it to be too harsh. And then it's just water, some essential oils. I like to add a little bit of calendula oil in there as well, that I make myself, that now adds an additional antibacterial, antimicrobial, and healing properties for any potential diaper rash or any irritants that may be there. I add a little bit of lavender, melaleuca, which aka tea tree, and German chamomile. And so not only is it German chamomile and lavender have been known to be soothing, so while you're now cleaning your baby and they're kicking and wailing and flailing, there's an additional calming property to it, along with lavender is antimicrobial, antibacterial, so is tea tree, so is chamomile, and extremely gentle and soothing for your baby.
And they all smell amazing. So it's like your baby's bottom's going to be smelling good. You don't have to worry about the chemicals.
Exactly.
And not only that, but like you said, these cloths are also the gift that keeps on giving, because you can use these well into a whole nother time, a whole nother child, or a whole nother purpose.
Just one initial cost, and you're good for multiple children. So,
absolutely.
And like I said, it's $187. I did end up investing in some more things, but to be honest with you, if I just kept to that 187 or 200, I can't remember now, I probably would have still been okay.
Yeah, but, seriously. And let's show them that snappy just one more time so they can identify that, because, until you showed it to me, that was the first time I ever seen a snappy.
Oh,
I had never seen one before.
So what's cool is that they come in all kinds of great colors, too. So
because I even like that color.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So it comes with just these little, it just has these little teeth that grab onto the cloth, and literally... Don't shake your baby like that. But it doesn't fall off.
Right.
It doesn't come off. They stay, and when they're walking, it doesn't fall off. It keeps it right.
That looks
in
really
place.
Secure.
It
is. You can feel it. Like, it's really on there.
Yeah. So,
well, without doing all that too.
Yeah.
I'm doing the most. I'm doing the most over here.
Yeah, but it does. It stays on, like I said, and my child at 2+ he never took it off. It was never an issue,
and covering it up will stop the baby from it, like as the baby gets a little older, from fiddling with it, touching it, wanting to try to play with it and stuff like that.
And it's just a part of their lifestyle, so they don't even recognize it being something not normal.
Yes, that's true.
So it is.
They like to take their diapers off. We know how they do. So if you have,
he never did it.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I can honestly say he couldn't figure this contraption out.
Right.
He may have found his hand inside of it.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. No, seriously. So I do love that, because we know that babies love to slip out of diapers all the time. So I feel like that's even extra security. So I feel like, cost effective wise and headache wise, this is a better option ultimately at the end of the day. And I thank you so much for that beautiful tutorial. So like I said, we will be having the
cleansing mist.
Yeah, the cleansing mist, the recipe for that up once this clip has been released. Thank you all. And yes, to keep up with us, You can find us at the Yananomics Podcast, and that is a group that is on Facebook. So make sure you find us, a Yananomics Podcast on there. I'm always posting in there. I'm always sharing, whether it be something funny, whether it be something informative, whatever it may be, you're going to find all different types of stuff in there because it's all about Black society and educating and entertaining. And so, yeah, make sure you get in contact. Now, Sahra, if you could please let them know how they can get in touch with you and, your contact information.
Yeah, so you can also find me on Facebook or online at www.iceandkofa.life. And I'm usually at a lot of farmers markets or crafters fairs, and we do have open studios right in Willimantic so people can come in and see where their products are being made, which is, I think, something special about having a local, locally made product is that you can actually see where your stuff is being made. You can ask the maker any questions that you have, and because they love it and they're passionate about it, more than likely they can answer
Absolutely. And you're in Willimantic, Connecticut.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Well, make sure you get in contact with Sahra for her products. And if you have any questions related to the cloth diapering, she'll be happy to answer them for you. As well, make sure you reach out to Cynthia Hayes if you have any questions related to becoming a doula or who to reach out to in regards to that. Because, she did say Earth's natural touch, birth care and beyond. But you can contact Cynthia directly if you have any initial questions before you actually reach out to Sayana in relation to that. And thank y'all so much. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Peace.